All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about what people call love letters.
Okay.
So why don't you explain what a love letter is?
Okay. So a love letter, for those of you thinking about this, is when you're writing an offer to buy a property. And a lot of times this happens during competitive marketplaces where there's more than one offer coming in and you're really trying to sell yourself as a buyer. So beyond doing all of the checking the boxes of, having your approvals done and having the purchase agreement filled out and having the great terms that you may want in your offer, you also include a letter that tells them a little bit about you in an effort to get them to, let's say, like you or sway towards you. And so that's really the sole purpose of it, because everything else is very, in my opinion, black and white and contract driven. Other than that, the love letter is
Make it a little more personal.
to hit their heartstrings a little bit, right?
Mhm.
So, I don't think that a love letter is a bad thing in every situation, but I do think that what can happen is with a love letter, it's going to be the person that doesn't get the contract that's going to come back and say, "Hey, you didn't like this in my love letter, and that's why you didn't pick my offer, and
Could
so
have.
we want you to pay." That's all I try to avoid. If somebody really wants to read a love letter as a seller, I'll read the love letter and I'll let them know that this will sway your opinion one way or the other. And do you want me to read it to you? And
I think
yeah,
that even the title of what we call a love letter, I think that's what's wrong about it. I don't think it could be a letter from the buyer to the seller. Explain it like who they are. And I think that's super important from a standpoint of because we've done it. People ask me all the time when we're writing offers, they're like, "Hey, can we include a letter from your buyer?" I say, "You can do whatever you want.
yeah.
I mean, it's up to you. I mean, whether the seller reads it or not is up to them as well." But what I like to do on there is turn it from more of a love letter, and we love your pillows, and your decorations are so nice, and trying to kind of sweet talk them, and it's like, boy, your decorating is amazing, and turn it more into a situation where it's like, you know what? I've been working at Target Corporation for now 7 years. I have a credit rating of 734, and I've owned houses in the past. Just something to be able to like get that seller feeling like, you know what, this is more likely to close than the other thing. Than that they have a dog named Poncho, and I think
Right.
some people go just a little too far on that end, and when you do, then it starts getting to that fair housing stuff.
Well, 90% of the love letters I get have a picture on them.
Yeah,
Picture of the family,
right,
picture with their dog, with their cat, with their fish, whatever they,
yeah,
whatever kind of sway they think will help. And they talk about the community. They talk about everything they're kind of not supposed to make a connection. What they're really essentially doing is trying to make a connection with that seller.
yeah,
And
true,
so that they're not just another offer, they're actually a offer with a person behind it that actually wants that property, loves it. And like you said, if a love letter or a letter to the seller is used in a way to sell yourself as a buyer without any of the protected classes involved, and I mean that, that's just the way it's been. So
yeah.
I think it's okay. On the other hand, like I said earlier, I do have it where my clients, I will ask them, "Hey, I've got a love letter here from this offer. Um, do you want me to read it?"
Yeah.
Because I don't read them
I
unless
think
they tell me
I
to.
think that's the other question is, are they even effective?
Mhm.
Because a lot of times the sellers don't even care. I
Right.
mean, in the end, hey, I just want more money. I think I've seen it a few times where it's kind of like, oh boy, they're really nice, and maybe there's two that were really close, and they went with that. But I think the other part is that people are saying, oh, they're protected classes, and yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true, that's true. But it's also assuming that we're thinking from a racist point of view, and we're not. And
Well, not
so
race,
to me,
sex,
it's
religion,
yeah,
marital status. I
yeah,
mean, it's sexual preference. All that
right.
stuff is protected. And so I think the thing that it's really what it comes down to is
But don't you
this.
think you can find that on social media anyways? So all
Maybe.
my clients go right on there and try to find the people that are not only, selling the house, but that are buying it. And they look them up anyways. And so they're
Yeah.
getting that information anyways, and they're probably getting 700 photos instead.
Yeah. But your seller doesn't get sued over it.
Right. I mean, that's
Right. I mean, if your
possible.
seller does their own research,
Unless
that's
they're
that's up to
researched it and they can say, you know what, we caught them on my LinkedIn page, because I can do that. I mean, it can, but I just think
yeah.
it's kind of you just got to be careful and just don't be stupid about it.
Yeah, I just think that the love letters, I'm gonna lift my mic up. I just can't stand
Yeah.
sitting. The love letters are really, in my opinion, giving some a buyer the ammunition to come back after a seller to say that something was not done correctly. That's the only
There's a
thing. So
point.
that's the only point that I really make with it. I don't, to be honest with you, America's awesome, and there's lots of different people of all different, backgrounds and interests and
Right.
family statuses and everything that buy houses every day and nobody really cares, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
The problem is that it's when that buyer feels that there was objection to their letter, and it's like that's like I said, why would I accept it if the only thing you could do with it is come after me for it, So
I think I get a little more uptight. Been doing it for 34 years.
yeah,
Never had a violation of any Fair Housing Act in my life. I don't even think that way. And so
yeah,
it's kind of like, it's just gets so crazy.
yeah.
Everything that it's
Well,
just constant.
you and I are like the same guy. We want less regulation. We want, more freedom to make decisions. We want, and I understand that. But anyway, it comes down to where here's the deal. The government is involved in housing, right? And it is.
A
And
lot.
so a lot.
Yeah.
And so what are you going to do about
Yeah.
it,
Yeah. And you know what? I suppose for some people you have to do it because it doesn't, they're not following the rules. So
Right.
there's obviously a reason that it got kind of thrown in there.